Hello, buổi ba thà tụt tê. Hai tụi ni cần hút kolom hana hai tê hin video in bát thiam bia ruột tì nạc le bát thiam bia chôn tì nạc chân thà cần nệ tê hin kai lom tuk shing shan. Le hi video here is part 4 of the salvation series that we're doing, and it's titled "There Is No Other Way But Jesus." No other way but Jesus. And so, when I hear this statement, no other way but Jesus, it makes me think back to thoughts that I used to have when I was younger. And so, for those of you who know me, you would know that I'm quite tender-hearted and I get, sad really easy about really random stuff. And one of the things that would make me really sad was when I looked at or when I heard about the lives of really religious, really devout Hindus or Buddhists or Muslims, because their religion really impacts every part of their lives. Some of that, like Muslims pray 5 times a day, so their prayer would just interrupt their daily lives. It impacts the way they dress, right? How they eat, what they eat. And a lot of these people are really good people. They do so much for other people. They give so much. They're so generous. And so when I looked at these people, I would be like, oh, what a waste. Their devotion, their goodness, what a waste. And so I would have these wishful thoughts and be like, God, could you maybe take their devotion, even though it's to the wrong God, and, give them entry into heaven, let them into your kingdom. But God says no, and he's very clear about this. And so this statement, there is no other way but Jesus, it's not even a statement that some theologian made up by taking bits and pieces from the Bible and then putting it all together into this neat sentence. It's Jesus himself who tells us that there is no other way to the Father except through him. In John 14, verse 6, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And so Jesus is telling us he is the way, not a way, the way. So it's a very exclusive way, right? There's no other way but Jesus. Which is in contrast to something that, a lot of people say nowadays, which is this one mountain, many path theory, which is basically there is one mountain, but many paths up to get to that mountaintop. And so they apply this to God and they say, okay, there can be one God, but that all of these other world religions will take us to him, will take us there. But God says, no. There is only one way to the Father, which is through Jesus. And so this leads us to the question, why is that? Why is there only one way to God? And to answer this question, I would really encourage you to watch the past 3 videos from this series as well, because they do a great job in leading us to the answer. And we'll kind of go back through some of those videos here as well. And so Sir Aaron in the first video talks about the holiness of God and reminds us that God is a holy God. And so his holiness manifests in his justice, or it comes out in his justice. And so sin can have no part in God. It cannot be a part of him. It cannot be with him. And then as Sir Kyokyo taught us, all sin leads to and brings death, spiritual and physical death. And this death we see right away, actually, in the first couple chapters of the Bible. As soon as Adam and Eve betrayed God and brought sin into the world, what did God do? He clothes them in animal skins, garments made out of animal skins. And so God sacrifices these animals to cover the sins of Adam and Eve. And here's the thing, the sin of Adam and Eve continues on to this day. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And so we see the story play out over and over and over again in the Bible, actually. God raises up a man. So God raised up Abraham and said to Abraham, through you and your offsprings, I will bless all the peoples of the world. And God always keeps his bargain, but man always fails. So Abraham, even though he was a godly man in many ways, fails and he's flawed. And all of his descendants, become enslaved, and they're slaves in Egypt. Then God raises up Moses. God raises up Moses to lead his people out of Egypt to freedom. And they have all these sacrificial system to cleanse them of their sin, killing animals yearly, every time they sin. It's a bunch of rules. No one's able to keep up. Moses can't keep up. Moses cannot bring the Israelites to true freedom. And so Moses fails. The descendants continue to betray God. And then they ask for a king, and God gives them David. And he's a godly king in many ways. God even calls him a man after my own heart. But even this godly king fails. And so we see time and time again that humans cannot bring true redemption, cannot bring reconciliation between God and man. But once again, God is so good and so gracious that he doesn't let the story stop there. And so God himself, so Jesus comes down and enters human history. He comes to live among us, in our midst. And he does the one thing that no human being can do, which is become our Redeemer, our rescuer. So because sin demands death and payment, God takes that upon himself. Jesus takes that upon himself. And on the cross, he died for our crimes, our sin against God. And in his death, our betrayal dies with him. And when he rose again, he defeated death and the power of death over all of us. And he's establishing a new kingdom, a new spiritual kingdom. And Jesus asks us to participate and be a part of that new spiritual kingdom, in which there is now reconciliation between God and human. And we share in his holiness through the blood of Jesus Christ. And so we're able to be with the Father one more time, once again. And so, this kind of brings us back to the mountain theory, right? If there are other ways to God, if there are other paths up that mountain to God, then why does he even need to come down here and die? If we could go other ways, if we could, work for our salvation, meaning if we could do really good things and eventually reach heaven, or all these other theories, right? Why does Jesus even need to come down and die? And so that's a question that I would like you to, ask yourself and work through as well. And earlier on we talked about all these really devout Buddhists and really devout Muslims and whatnot, and I said, what a waste of their time, what a waste of their devotion. But it's not just religious people that are wasting their time. I would say that, everyone's religious in some way. It really just depends on who your God is. And our God, or our idol, God with a little g, is anything that we love or we fear or we trust more than God himself. And here's the thing, the words love, fear, and trust are words of worship. They're meant to be used with God. We're taught, the Bible teaches us to only love God, fear God, and trust God. So anything other than God that we love, fear, or trust, that's our idol. And that's what we're wasting our time on and our devotion on. And that's such a waste. And I know for a lot of like me, people, we grew up in church. Our culture is very Christian. And so it's very easy to think that we ourselves are Christian. It's very easy to waste our time doing a lot of Christian activities without actually having a relationship with Jesus. And so, these 4 videos that we've done, when you combine them all together, technically it's a gospel presentation. It's a gospel conversation. And just like in every conversation, when one person finishes talking, the other person has a chance to respond, has a chance to talk, say something. And so as you're watching this video, I want to ask you a question. What is your response to this gospel presentation? And who is Jesus to you? Is he the way or a way? Maybe just a historical figure. I hope not. But take these questions seriously. Think about it. Because for the people that were with Jesus, that followed him and really know him, this is what they say about him. And this Bible verse is from Acts chapter 4, verse 12. And it's from the Apostle Peter, and he says this about Jesus. He says, "And there is salvation in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved." And so the people that truly know Jesus are very clear on this, that there is no other way. Ask yourself, who is Jesus to you? Who is Jesus for you? And I hope that God gives us a chance to meet in person, to discuss this question. And I hope that we can have more videos in the future like this. May God bless every single one of you who's watching this. I'm really glad to have done this. Have a great day.